Hi guys, Harry Yotis here. I've been a professional trader for 20 years now. Started in 2005 and still going strong in 2026. So let's get started with a daily market update. As usual, we're looking at the picture of the S&P 500. This is the first full week of 2026. Monday here, this candle, January the 5th. Okay, bullish. Let's look at the big news of the day. We all know that it's the Trump world order, right? This is crazy news that happened over the weekend. The U.S. basically took out Maduro in like 5 hours. Okay, it was nothing. It was really a show of strength. It's very, very impressive if you think about it. But basically, Trump took over a country in 5 hours. We'll get to that soon. But first, we talk about the technical picture, because even without the Trump world order and what happened with Venezuela over the weekend, the picture still remains the same. Okay, we are, technically speaking, still bullish. This is looking very, very good because we kept mentioning to stay bullish, even though we have these periodic moves down in the SPY. The fundamentals are still strong, and the market will still continue to go up. Okay, we have here, like, if you look at this wave down, okay, so here we have a long wave down. Okay, the second wave down was short, and the third wave down is shorter. This is almost like a volatility contraction pattern, with successive waves of down moves becoming less and less severe. This is very, very bullish to me. Okay, it basically keeps the pattern of higher lows and higher highs intact. I think once we break out above the, let's say, the 690-ish level, we're going to go really, really high. Okay, so this is bullish. We're trading all above our moving averages, which are all upward sloping. Okay, don't even have to bring it into the picture. It's so obvious. We're still above the 50, so just that alone makes it bullish. And because of the technical picture that is bullish, we don't just look at that. We don't just look at the technical picture. We also look at the sentiment, and still neutral. It was close to fear. Okay, everything is basically neutral, fear. Okay, so we have a lot of pent up demand when it comes to sentiment. Okay, because people are still not fully in this market, wall of worry. So you have the sentiment analysis and the technical picture that is bullish due to the factors just mentioned. And I really like this volatility contraction pattern where each successive down move is less severe than the one before it, which leads me to believe that we're going to have some kind of big move up once the breakout happens. Okay, so the technical picture, bullish. Okay, let's get to the big news of the day, Trump world order. What does that mean? Okay, well, you have news coming over the weekend that Venezuela was basically conquered by Trump 5 hours, okay? But that's not the big news, okay? The big news is also that he's, because of his, I don't know, maybe it's going to his head, the success, but he's threatening Cuba, Colombia, Greenland, we'll get to that, Iran, Mexico, everybody's like on his hit list. It's basically, here, it's basically the Monroe Doctrine, except for Iran, whatever happens in the Western Hemisphere belongs to us, says the U.S. Okay, so this is the new the Trump world order. Okay, you have a lot of countries. The backlash to this will be huge. Okay, because you have here China also condemns a U.S. strike in Venezuela, and of course Russia. All the news headlines are basically the BRICS, and every other country in the world is, except U.S. allies. Even U.S. allies are shocked. Basically, it's like the Trump world order. Trump wants to take over everything, and everybody has a backlash towards it. China, Russia, everybody. Okay, so this has severe, I wouldn't say severe, but has real repercussions for our new world order, and basically what I've been saying forever, basically the past 2 years, is we're in the middle of a global resource war that'll only get exacerbated, okay? So what does this mean with a global resource war? Well, the first thing is the precious metals are going to explode. Okay, I don't know why anybody would be short gold. Okay, look, gold up 2.5%. That's a big move, okay? Up over $100 on the day. Okay, it consolidated here. I love this move down. It got the averages down to neutral. We were very excited about that, and we were expecting the next move up. And yes, here it goes. Granted, it probably wouldn't have happened like this, like, you know, a 2.5% move in gold in one day if it wasn't for the Venezuela move. But regardless, even if Venezuela wasn't in the picture, there would be geopolitical tensions between China and Russia still. This just exacerbates it, okay? The global resource war is really, really, if you don't know it by now, I mean, I don't know what else I could say. This is pretty obvious to me right now, okay? And not just gold, but you have silver coming up to consolidating at the highs. This is not good for the silver shorts. It's not good for basically anybody that sources silver, like the solar industry, electronic vehicles, all electronics, iPhones, computers, tech, basically everything that sources silver, cars, even without, not just EVs, but all kind of cars, hybrids too, everything. Everything in this economy is touched by silver, and this global resource war is going to be silver. It's going to be at the forefront of it, okay? So, of course, silver's up too, and we mentioned that this too alleviates the overbought conditions, okay? Not by much, but enough to go higher. I was hoping it would go down to this circle, to the 62.5 to 65 level. It might not. I don't know. I can't predict the future. But the Venezuela attack and victory in a mere 5 hours by the U.S. sets a huge precedent, and it fires a shot across the bow of all of the BRICS countries and everybody in the world that, the global resource war is on, and pay attention, okay? What about platinum? Platinum today, up again. This alleviated, it's almost a carbon copy of silver, okay? Tough to buy this spike down because it never really bottomed, But same story, okay? Up 6.5%, even rarer than silver, okay? Not as many uses of it. This is more into the EV hybrid and basically ICE vehicle market is, platinum affects that market a lot. So you have this, even copper. It's not just the precious metals, copper going to new highs. This is a key move. This is big. Copper is trading at almost $6 a pound. This is huge for the economy. Everything requires copper. Okay, and it's higher than the spike when they were trying to hoard copper due to the Trump tariffs. Okay, this has nothing to do with tariffs anymore. This is basically a rush for global resources. Okay, you can't explain this with tariffs now. Okay, this is basically a rush for global resources in the midst of a long-term supply deficit for copper. Same thing with silver. So you have all these precious metals and base metals going up. Okay, so not good, not looking good for the global economy. And this brings me to what we will be talking about later is coming inflation. Like when you have commodities go ripping, inflation was sticky before, it'll probably go higher later. Okay, but what about oil? Because Venezuela was all about oil, right? You would think that oil would tank, and now it's plentiful. No, today oil was bid. It was up to $58 a barrel. But if you look at the overall picture here, I'm very bearish oil. I was always bearish oil. You can see it on my Twitter forever. And I haven't stopped because they keep producing more and they keep getting more. Okay, and this Venezuela oil move is just going to be terrible for the oil market if you're long. Okay, so I'm very bearish oil, which coincides with my very bullish metals position. Miners, gold miners do very well with gold going up and oil going down. Okay, so I am still bearish oil. I think it breaks these levels right here. Let's draw it so you guys can see it clear. The horizontal line here. Since it tried many times in the past to break this $55 level, I think it will eventually go down, break it, and hit this 42. Okay, so I'm very bearish oil. Today was probably bid because I'm just speculating. I have no idea, but I'm just speculating that it's because as the U.S. took over Venezuela, the Venezuelan tankers that are shipping Venezuelan oil to their source, or not their source, their sinks, mainly China and other countries, they might be delayed for a while. They might be stopped by the U.S. forces. So the oil might not get there immediately, but eventually it will. Okay, so I am bearish oil. I would short any spike, and I plan to, but I didn't get a meaningful spike. This move here was not big enough for me to short. Maybe in the future it'll have to be. Okay, so oil bearish. But this is like, bearish oil will alleviate the inflationary pressures that I think might be coming. But if you have gold and silver, especially, and copper and everything that is used in the world, and on top of a global resource war, it's like oil might be the only thing that stays down. Everything else might go up. So it might be a very different type of inflationary environment than we're used to. We don't know. Or maybe oil starts ripping in the future if inflation really goes nuts. But I don't see it. Okay, I just see it in the other metals, and both base and precious. But I don't really see it in oil. Okay, so this is why the inflation for me is going to be mostly set in other commodities and not in oil, okay? So speaking of like all commodities ripping, what is the counter trade to that? It's always the US dollar, okay? So the US dollar index, we're looking at Dixie here. It's bearish for all of 2025 because I was bullish gold. So I would love to see a bearish dollar. Although you don't have to have that. You can have gold and dollar going up at the same time, okay? Because the dollar here, the Dixie measures the dollar versus other currencies, not versus gold. Okay, so I think that this bearish dollar, or just gold staying flat, is still bad. It's bullish, the metal still. But when you have the Dixie here hovering at lows, it's not going to look good when you have commodities ripping, okay? You have commodities ripping with a dollar barely moving. It doesn't look good for me. I'm not bullish the dollar, okay? In fact, on the contrary, I'm long-term bearish, but as of right now, I have really no opinion. It's just caught in a flat sideways move in a generally downward pattern. But this, even if gold rips, it will have no impact, which I don't think it will. It will have no impact on gold. I don't think gold goes down if the dollar goes up, okay? Although that remains to be seen. It's just my feeling, given the geopolitical and fundamental news that is driving gold right now. I don't see the dollar move as anything important. However, I do see it as an important move for commodities. If the dollar starts weakening, it'll exacerbate the inflationary pressures that exist on the commodities that we showed you: gold, silver, copper, everything, all the precious metals, even REEs, okay? REEs, rare earths. So, guys, let's recap. Okay, this is still a bullish market even without the Trump world order. I'm really loving the technical picture with a volatility contraction pattern. Every move down is less severe than the previous one, and I think we go much higher, technically speaking. The sentiment is still in neutral territory, a lot of fuel to go higher. And of course, the Trump world order. Excuse me. We have gold up, silver up, copper up. This is looking very, very bad. Well, that's it, guys. If you like what you heard, just like and subscribe and leave a comment below, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Looking forward to tomorrow and what this week brings for 2026. Later, guys.